Hello again and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us at zinniawealth.com. We're glad you found us here today because the reason we have this show is to try to clean up some of the difficulties and the confusion that you might have about this thing called retirement and hopefully offer you some help along the way, because if you haven't talked to anybody about it yet, well, it's time to have that conversation. And we are right here for you. You can find us online at zinniawealth.com or 833-368-3680. Let's get that conversation started, because you hear and you read headlines like this. This is from USA Today. Our country would be a lot better off if the government abolished the 401k. And the same day, I found another headline that said the 401k will be gone in 10 years. Well, Sharice, you know, this is where we save most of our money. A lot of people will come into your office, and that's where a lot of the money is. So I'm reading this article, and it says here's why they think they should get rid of the 401k. Number one, people who've been able to save well in 401ks are in the top 10% of earners. So here we go again. It favors the rich. But the other one is this. The government loses $185 billion a year because 401ks are tax deferred. They don't get that money until later. So $185 billion doesn't go into the coffers every single year. And they say if they had that money, they would be able to solve 75% of the problems that we have with Social Security. So what do you say, Sharice? Is the 401k not a good deal for us, the retiree? Is it not a good deal for the government? Should we abolish this? What do we put in its place? Oh, my gosh.
That is a lot to unpack, Randy.
Is.
I have to go back to the first thing you just said. Did you say the government loses $185 billion?
Every year, they said because it's tax deferred and they don't collect that money, it's $185 billion that doesn't go into the coffers right now. But it does go in later.
Who wrote this article?
I don't know.
Because there's no way it's going to be gone in 10 years then. It's here forever.
I know
We're stuck with this thing. But I will say a few things about what you just said, because you also made a comment about it favors the rich. I don't truly believe that. Yes, rich people have lots of money in IRAs, but people who are just saving in general, just the typical individual, the 401k has been a good plan for them because some people didn't know how to save. So they were kind of forced to save, or they just did what everybody else did and their neighbor Bubba in the cubicle next to him. Yeah. So the 401k was a smart way for people to save and get everybody on board to do it, because pensions were going away and people retire and sometimes they only have 200,000 or 500,000, maybe $1 million. I mean, I know there's people out there with millions in those retirement accounts, but thank God for those 401ks, because where would we be today? But
do we have the discipline to save if it doesn't come out of our employer check? I don't know if we do.
No, we don't. We don't. And this is why we have Social Security. It's a forced thing. It's through our FICA taxes. If we didn't have it, people wouldn't have some of those incomes. Because think of the people who really didn't save in a 401k. Maybe they worked the whole life and their employer did not have a 401k for some reason, or they doesn't have the opportunity. Thank goodness for Social Security. But they're probably not living a rich life, possibly, right? Or at least they're just not traveling a lot. Everybody has different rich lives in different realms, of course. So the 401k is good. Where the 401k is bad is the tax problem we have in the future. So no, I don't think the 401k is going to go away. I just think if you're going to invest in a 401k, because it is so good to the government, $185 billion a year, if it's that good for the government, are there things outside the 401k we're not considering that would be worse for the government, but better for you, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to circle around, but I'm going to tell you something. Our debt is incredibly high and taxes are going up. We used to be at a higher rating for the United States, right? Now we're AA plus. If Fitch now decides to rate us down a notch to just AA, our interest we're paying on our debt, almost triples,
Wow.
which is even scarier because we're going down that lane, everyone. When this happens, who do you think who's going to pay the bill? Right?
Yeah. Where's all the money? With the retirees and the 401ks.
And the 401k. So all of your money you saved in these glorious 401ks, and thankfully they're there. It was the first step so we can get things moving again, right? But the thing you have to think about now is, okay, I have saved all this money in this 401k. And Sharice is saying, whew, I might be paying a lot of taxes, right? And what is my tax plan? Should you be considering rolling some of this 401k or IRA money over to a Roth IRA? If you have a simple IRA, a SEP IRA, a 401k, a regular IRA, a 457, a 403b. I mean, I'm talking about this is alphabet soup kind of stuff, right? Any of those types of accounts, you can roll over every year into a Roth IRA, a little bit at a time or a lot of bit of a time, but you got to pay the taxes that year. Because I'm going to tell you that the government has only a couple options to keep your tax bill down. They have to spend less.
You make me laugh.
True. I'm so serious today. My tooth hurts. No. And number two, they have to drive revenue up. So do you think the government's going to spend less, Randy?
Nope.
No. Do you think they're going to drive revenue up?
Well, the one way they can do that is to raise taxes.
Exactly. And they are spending more rapidly every day. When you go back from 2020 to the present, do you know how much debt was actually accrued during that time period? It was astronomical. So we're paying a third of our debt is based on interest. And if we get a downgrade, we're in trouble. So I tell you guys this because I'm going to start doing tax webinars and I'm going to start doing more tax planning classes because it is so critical right now to make some of these moves and these decisions. Because what if that Roth IRA conversion or Roth IRA is not going to be available to you in 10 years. So I think somebody's writing an article saying, hey, the 401k isn't going to be here in 10 years, possibly, right? But I more think that the Roth IRA conversion or strategy might not be here in 10 years because people are getting smarter and smarter. They know the government's going to be raising that tax bill. If you go back to the 1940s, the debt rose up, the GDP changed forever. And the taxes went up to 94%, Randy?
Yep.
And for 24 years, the taxes stayed up really high and then came down. Do you know over the last couple of years, when you look at the GDP and you look at the economy, we are in the same place. The only difference, the only thing that hasn't changed is the taxes hasn't gone up to 94% like it did back then. Mm-hmm. Yes. So what does that mean for us? That just means that we really need to consider rolling our 401ks and IRAs and retirement accounts over to a Roth now over the next 10 years, because it's going to be a slow pain, in my opinion, over the years. And you got to get a grip of it now. And most people have saved, Randy, in the retirement account. That is your taxable bucket. Most people didn't save in that tax-free bucket. That Roth IRA, all the dollars it grows, is tax-free, right? And the money you put in, you have to pay the taxes on it, but we could do it, steady Eddie, slow pace over the next 10 years. I really do worry about the debt. I really do worry about the tax bill because you all are going to have to pull that out of your income checks and your travel plans. And you might not be able to do as much as you thought you could. How do you do that? Because how do you get that tax-free bucket, Randy? Maybe we should talk about that. There's different ways and there's different alternatives out there that you can have a tax-free bucket. Do you know that, Randy?
So there's tax deferred, there's tax-free. Let's talk about that a little bit because you say many times we should come to retirement with all three kinds of money. So let's break that down a little bit.
Yeah. So you have the tax-free bucket, right? Let's start with that one because that's one we were just talking about. The tax-free bucket is that Roth IRA, and it's a Roth 401k now. So if you have a 401k at your employer and you love that match and all that, maybe consider the Roth 401k, because all you're doing in the 401k is you're delaying the taxes later to Uncle Sam, right? You're delaying the taxes and it's going to compound in the amount you put into that 401k and their match. It's all going to be taxable to you, especially as taxes are on the rise based on what we just said. So I would recommend at least carve out some of it for that 401k Roth, or come to us. We'll create a Roth IRA. Just know when you come out to the private world and you don't put the money in your employer Roth 401k, there are some income limitations because it's so good. But we'll talk about those things when you come in. So you can do a Roth 401k or Roth IRA. The other thing that could help with the strategy is muni bonds, right? There's all sorts of muni bonds. You just need to be careful which ones you get. The rate of return right now isn't great, but all the dollars in a municipal bond is tax-free, which we like, but not everybody should have those. So that's a secondary one. And the third one that we don't talk much about out there is life insurance. You can build a life insurance policy, build in the cash value. They've definitely changed over the years. So I'm leaning towards that for some people. But when you're over 65, I'm not a big fan of that. The younger you are, that's the better strategy, truly, because you can pull money out of those life insurance policies tax-free and have income, right? Tax-free from those. So it's a whole nother strategy that we can talk when you come to the office. But just know, there's not too many strategies out there, Randy. Yeah. If you don't get a life policy that has a cash value growing that you can live on later, and you make too much income and you can't contribute to a Roth, or you're self-employed and you're stuck in your simple, then you're very limited. And that is the reason why to come in and plan for those strategies, because taxes are on the rise. I'm sincerely worried about it. Some new data points are coming out, and we want to make sure that you're paying less in taxes if you can. I don't want you paying more, right?
So there's tax-free, there's tax-deferred, there's taxable. We should go into retirement with a little bit of each. And figuring out what is right for you is a great conversation for you to come in, and we'll do that complimentary retirement consultation with you, and that's free. We're going to sit down and say, okay, where is your money? How much have you saved? What's going to happen when you start taking this money out? And let's see what we can do to limit that tax liability. Really an important conversation. Give us a call, 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or online at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com, and we'll get going from there.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 803-368-3680 or find us online at zinniawealth.com.
Sharice Rivers is an investment advisor representative of Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Sharice Rivers is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Sharice Rivers, NPN Insurance License Number 8718011.